Being very entitled and controlling, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries. So that's why I put together an extensive video class called This Is Me. It has 25 videos, written documents, guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to have healthy boundaries. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. Up front, I'm going to state something that I know that virtually every one of you would agree with, and that is, I'm not at all a fan of the loud and blustery and yelling, overt narcissist who just wants to pound you into submission. These are profoundly insecure people, and they illustrate a great deal of emotional instability when they act that way, and that's not a very good combination. But then you have their quiet, passive, aggressive, covert counterparts who will go into a very different pattern of trying to bring you into submission. And these are the Moody and the Pouty and the Sulking, withdrawing, silent punishment type of folks. You feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells because they're so moody. You know the type? And the pattern of behavior that represents that fits the whole description of narcissism to a T, but we're just going to go ahead and put the term covert on the front of it. They're very high control people when they go into this whining and griping and pouting and sulking kind of way. They are very haughty, and they have zero empathy. They're incredibly selfish, especially in the moments when they go into that behavior, and it's all a part of their designs to be manipulative. They're just simply not quite as in your face, if you will, as that loud and overt kind of bully narcissist. Now, what I want to do is I want to give you a 10-point checklist real quickly to let you know what I'm talking about when I refer to this moody and pouty and sulking kind of narcissist. And then we're going to see if we can break it down, okay? So I'm going to the 10 points here, and I want you to see how many of these fit with the circumstance that you might be in the face of. Point number one, these are individuals who give lots of negative nonverbal messages. And when I say that, I mean slumped shoulders, or the painful frown, or just having a sad face, or refusing to have eye contact with you. Number two, these are individuals who will use heavy sighs as they talk with you. It's kind of like they're implying when they sigh, I want your attention. Not really, but yes, I do. And I'm thinking, oh, please. Number three, these are individuals who exude a victim's mindset, a victim's attitude. In essence, they're thinking, look at how you're making my life so miserable again. I can't believe that you're treating me this way. Or number four, these are individuals who may pretend to want your input, and then they don't follow through with it, and they'll ignore it later on. So you're thinking, well, why'd you bother to ask in the first place? Number five, these are people who have a perpetual assumption that you're supposed to cater to them. It's kind of like, well, I'm in the room. What are you going to do to make my life a little bit better? They don't like to be helpful, but they sure like to be on the receiving end of it. Number six, and this is, we'll say that these individuals have lots of behavioral disparity. And by that, I mean, they may say to you, as an example, I'm really tired today and I don't have much energy, so I'm just going to low-key it. And then they get a phone call from someone else asking them to go out and do something. Oh, yeah, I can do that. And so there's this disparity. They say one thing and they do something entirely different. Number seven, these are people who are very needy for affirmation, which is why they go into this moodiness when they don't get it, and they somehow think that by going moody and being hard to get along with, that's going to get the affirmation they crave. They haven't thought that one through very well. Number eight, these people will quit easily. And basically, it's a way for them to elicit pity. You know, it's like, I'm so tired. I've had so many things on my plate this week, and you're thinking, well, I did what you're talking about, before sunup, and you're over here just complaining about how tired you are. But they're quitters, and they are constantly talking about how a hard life is on them. Number 9, sometimes these pouty, moody people will threaten self-harm, and it will be your fault. And that's a tough one. It's like, well, I'm just so miserable. They may cut themselves. They may threaten suicide. They may talk about how they're just going to go ahead and do things that they know are inappropriate, but it's all done because you're just not a very good person to be with. And then number 10, these might be individuals who just refuse to include you in normal events or activities. They'll go do something that they normally might invite you to, but it's like, nah, you're on my bad list right now. Just go away. Now, I know that many of you, when you're in the face of something like this, may think, excuse me while I go find a place to puke. This is so ridiculous when individuals come this way. But sadly, when you have this passive-aggressive, pouty, whiny, gripey, moody narcissist, they're showing you what their coping skills are. Basically, it's kind of their way of implying, I'm trying to solve my inner tension. Go figure. Seriously, that's your strategy? And I think it's necessary for us to understand that they desperately want you to play along with the game, but we need to understand what they're really up to and what's going on and what their end game is. Let's see if we can break that part down. Basically, when a narcissist goes into this moody and passive kind of style, it's their backwards way of trying to draw attention to themselves and ultimately to their strength. Go figure. It's their way of saying, hey, look, I'm a force to be reckoned with, and you need to pay attention to me right now. I am a somebody. But of course, their methods leave a bit to be desired. In addition, when they go into this pattern of behavior, it's their way of pronouncing judgment on you. It's like, I've measured you and I've determined you're a loser. You're a failure. You're no good. You don't measure up, and I can't even give you my attention. Likewise, we can say, when we ask what's going on, we can say clearly, the goal is to control you. If they can make you feel uncomfortable enough, they're hoping that you'll alter your priorities and your preferences and your interpretations and go along to get along. That they desperately want that. Likewise, when they go into this pattern of behavior, it's their way of trying to pronounce shame onto you. It's like, you should be ashamed for just being who you are. I can't even be in the same room with you. I don't even want to look at you. I don't want to talk with you. That's the message that they convey. If you call them out on it, they'll say, I never said that. It's like, okay, not in words, but all the nonverbals convey that. In addition, it represents, and again, this is a head shaker, but their behavior represents an attempt to find compliance and conformity from you. And I'm thinking, okay, so being insulting and divisive, you think that that's a good way to get conformity. I don't think you're using a lot of future thinking on this. And when I say future thinking, where's this headed? They don't think that way, but that's what they're hoping to accomplish. In addition, and this is one where we break a stereotype, when a person goes into this moody and pouty and sulky kind of style, it's their way of throwing a temper tantrum. We tend to think of people throwing a temper tantrum as being loud and flailing, but this is done just without all the noise. But make no mistakes, that's what they're doing. And then taking it a bit further, I mentioned the term passive-aggressive. Let's focus on the word aggressive. When a person goes into this withdrawal and moody and all the rest, it's their way of saying, I am taking out my anger on you in such a way that I hope it's destructive toward you. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about aggressive. And then in addition, when they do this often enough, then we're just going to say, these are abusers. And they have no regard for who you are, and they're more than willing to grind you into the ground. That's how they think. And so, yes, we have that loud and obnoxious and bully kind of overt narcissist, but then also when we have this moody and pouty, passive-aggressive covert narcissist, you have to ask, well, which one's worse? And the answer is, how about both of them? Let's underscore, when you're in the presence of someone who's willing to act this way toward you, absolutely don't play along with their game. They desperately want you to come to them and say, please, please, let's get along with each other. Let's have a meeting of the minds. I don't want you to be this way. I don't want you to feel sad. And they're thinking, oh, I so have you going. Do not go into that kind of space with them. Instead, when these individuals will do this, and by the way, they can go into this pout not just for 30 minutes or an hour. Sometimes they'll do it for days, and I've known people that have done it for years. I even had a woman say that she had a woman that went into this hard pout with her and just wouldn't talk to her, wouldn't include her. And then about a year later, when she needed something, she called her back and said, "Hey, old friend, old pal." It's like, I'm not going along with that. Move on with your plans and be your own separate self, and know that these are individuals that you probably don't need to include anyway. These individuals use a great deal of binary thinking. By that, black, white, all or nothing. Any kind of effort that you make to try to get them to have insight is going to be analogous to banging your head against the brick wall and you walk away with a headache. You're going to need to accept the fact that these types of individuals are the embodiment of what I refer to as emotional incompetence. Now, you're going to be very tempted when you're in the presence of someone like this to say something to the effect of, "Hey, get over yourself." But it's not going to work. These are not individuals who want to hear from you. They simply want to keep you under their control. When you have someone like this in your life, you're in the presence of a grown-up child. And my thinking is, well, someone in this equation needs to step up and be the adult. Why don't we remember that whiny, gripey, complaining, pouty, moody, passive-aggressive, covert narcissist is not going to be the one that says, "Hey, I'll be the adult in the room." And my thinking is, I need to remember that. And I'm not going to expect anything other than that. I need to move on with my own separate healthiness intact. I hope this gives you some awareness of what you might be dealing with. If you've not already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. We're going to keep more videos coming towards you, and I hope that as you watch these on a cumulative basis, it helps you in your own personal education. What's going on with Gus there? He's not a pouty kind of dog at all. You just find a new place to chill. If you have a need for therapy, and I know many times when you're dealing with something like this, it would be helpful for you to have somebody to work it out with you. You know, I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. This is an online therapy resource, and it's proven to be effective and efficient and cost-wise. It's affordable, and it's something that's very accessible. So please, if you have the need for therapy, it's a matter of going through the link that we have below the video here that asks you a few questions, and then there's a whole team of licensed professional therapists that you can select from. Also, I have my own courses that you can sign up for. It's like signing up for an online class. I put a lot of work into them, and it would require a lot of work from you. Each course has at least 25 videos, and each video has written documentation with guided questions. We have Ready, Set, Connect about having good connections. We have This Is Me about establishing your good boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite those controllers. We also have my webinars that I know many of you have taken me up on, as well as our podcast and our many articles on our website, books, etc. So there's plenty of resources. Now, let's keep in mind that these individuals are profoundly insecure. They're the ultimate manipulator. And one of the things about that passive-aggressive element is you will always lose when you try to get into the pig pen and try to wrestle with them. So refrain from that. In the meantime, I'm hoping you can decide this is not someone that's going to be an insider with me. I have better things to do with my life, including I'm moving towards my own personal stability because, you see, I'm wanting to be a person who's emotionally balanced. And then in the end, I'm hoping you can say that it leads you to a much desired and much needed place of peace.